And finally, welcome everybody to another edition of New York Football Giants Talk. Of course, as the countdown's going on, we have an internet crash at my house. So we're back up. New York Giants Football Talk. Kenny K here. Maryland, all my friends up north. Paul, I'll get to you in a second. Kurt, all you guys out there in the East Coast. Bobby, everybody. Hope you all staying safe. Day two of the shoveling of the aftermath of the blizzard of 2026. Hope everybody's safe. We braved it out down here. We got all but 3 inches down here in Maryland. So uh, don't want to rub it in, but I feel for you all up there. I used to live up there. Stay safe. Check on your neighbors. Check on everybody. Make sure they're okay. But speaking of okay, I got my brother from another, my friend, Mr. Paul Rosen. How we doing this evening, Paul?
All right, doing well, Kenny. Like you just said, under the circumstances, another blizzard. This one, haven't seen anything like this probably in 30 years. So it's been crazy, but fortunately, we're good. Most of our neighbors are good, and just doing a lot of shoveling out as usual. But overall, doing pretty well under the circumstances. And I hope, like you said, everyone in Jersey and on the East Coast and who's listening and has been affected is okay.
Yeah, and I do want to give a shout out. He was on with us last week. I want to give a shout out to Bobby Blackjack Guarente. We call him Blackjack. We are now streaming on Surge Sports. You can check out Surge Sports on the Roku and Amazon Fire. We'll get that logo up soon. But you go on Roku or Amazon Fire TV, you can find us there at Surge Sports. Also, Search Sports on the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed over there yet, go like and subscribe, and do the same for us at K&K Sports Show, all in on high school sports. Helps the channels out, it's free of charge, doesn't cost anything, and yeah, we're excited to get this new chapter rolling. And it wouldn't be a New York Giants football talk show or a K&K show without a blooper. So we got the blooper out of the way. We're now official part of Surge Sports. We got the blooper out of the way. So we're here. We got a fun show lined up, but little off agenda, off topic to start the show off. I'm going to pass it to Paul because the United States had a very big event happen recently, and I'll pass it to Paul to explain to everybody what
All
happened in
right,
case they
thanks,
didn't
Ken.
see it.
Thanks, Kenny. So here we are Tuesday evening, and unless you were living in Mars, you haven't heard that the United States won gold medal in the men's hockey championship game and the women's championship game, both against Canada, both by the score 2-1, both in overtime. And even though we are a giant show, we are Americans, and we want to acknowledge today on the show what a great, fantastic job both hockey teams did. They brought home the gold for the United States. They actually met with President Trump this afternoon in the White House, and then they were invited and will be attending the State of the Union address this evening. So we wanted to do a shout out to both the men and the women's hockey teams. They were unbelievable, very patriotic. They were all American. They played their hearts out. Both teams did, and obviously the men's won their first championship since the 1980 Miracle on Ice hockey team 46 years ago, and the women's hockey team won the gold and beat both the rival Canadian hockey teams. So just wanted to acknowledge both teams on the show tonight and indicate that we're very, very proud of them and acknowledge that they were unbelievable for the country.
Well said, Paul. I'm just going to echo everything you said there. Congratulations to the USA women's and men's hockey teams. Uh, I would have, the men's hockey team got invited there. Do you know if the women's team was invited and they just
Yeah.
declined, or?
No, the women's team was invited. It was at the last second. Unfortunately, they had prior obligations. They appreciated the invite by President Trump, but apparently they had other uh, uh, business issues and stuff, and they couldn't arrange it that quickly. So probably they'll be
In
invited
the
at some
future,
other
yeah,
point.
yeah, definitely in the future. But yeah, well said, Paul. Congratulations to the USA and a very good Olympics for the USA in general. I think we were second in the
Mhm.
medal. So very successful Winter Olympics for the United States. Congratulations to all the participants in the Olympics. But
All
I'm going to
right.
pass it back to you, Paul, to get our agenda
Okay.
going. But let's get a hello in. Sharon's saying hello. Hello,
Take
Paul and
care.
Kenny. Go USA. Kurt's coming in
Mhm.
saying boys. New play caller. He's talking about his Broncos. Davis Webb, former Giant, is going to be calling the plays for
Yeah, I
the
saw that
Broncos.
just
So he
just
wanted to
before we
point,
came on.
yeah, he wanted to point that out. And
Mhm.
just make sure you're off by 8:50 because the president is speaking tonight, he said.
Thanks for the heads up, Kurt. We plan to. Anyway, so let's get back to football. And for those of you who may not be aware, on Thursday starts the very important combine, where they call it the Underwear Olympics for 319 prospects for the NFL. And the NFL scouts, GMs, coaches, what have you. Every person known to the NFL will be in Indianapolis to take a look at these prospects. So what Kenny and I are going to do is give about 4 or 5 of guys that you may have heard the names already, but now we'll have an opportunity to see them in one-on-one drills, in passing drills, and blocking drills, in running. They'll Most of them will do the 40. They do the uh, uh, height,
But the
the
broad, the height, yeah, the broad jump, the I forget what they call the jump, but I know what you're
the
saying.
vertical jump,
Vertical.
vertical
Yeah.
jump, and the broad jump. Yeah. So um, why don't we start off? We have a couple of a few categories. So why don't we start? One of my biggest needs that I think the Giants need is an offensive lineman. So Kenny, why don't you give me a name or two who you think you'll be looking forward to see?
Yeah, I mean, first round pick. And you'll see where I'm going to go with the as we go further down our list. But I'm looking at the two big offensive linemen that are going to be the top two offensive linemen, in my opinion, taken in this draft, and that's Francis Mananagua from Miami, right tackle, and Spencer Fano, the right tackle from Utah. I'm going to be looking, and I know Giants fans and most importantly John Harbaugh and the scouting team, they're going to be looking at to see if there's any big differences between these two because I really think these two guys are in play at pick number 5 for the Giants to protect the franchise quarterback Jackson Dart. You have Andrew Thomas on the left side, the right side's not set in stone yet. This could be the pick at number 5. So I'm going to be watching both of these guys closely to see if one stands out or if they're going to be neck and neck the whole time.
Okay, great.
And I
I'm
want to
gonna
get another hello in real quick. Michael Ronquillo, I forgot to get his
Hey,
hello
Michael.
in. Good evening, Kenny and Paul, and he's giving us those blue and white hearts. What's up,
Thanks
Michael?
so
It's
much,
good to see
Michael.
you. Thanks for hanging out.
Let's stick with the offensive line. I'm going to give you a name that is an interesting name. Also, a right tackle. He has started 54 straight games for Clemson in, the ACC. Blake Miller, one of Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 prospects. Right tackle, 54 straight games for obviously really uh, good program, Clemson. And you start 54 straight games. over that period of time, that says something about this kid. I'm not sure where he's going to be drafted, but if the Giants decide, hey, maybe we go with a receiver, a defensive back at the number 5 pick, maybe this is a guy that might be around second round, maybe even fourth round. So I'm throwing the name out, Blake Miller, right tackle at 54 straight games, and that could be some interesting name that might come up at some point.
Good name. Good name.
All right. Why don't you give me let's go receiver, since that's another name, that another position that people are mocking to the Giants. Give me a receiver who you think we should be looking for.
I'm gonna give you a guy. I want to keep an eye because if this is, let's say the Giants, I'm going by the Giants picking offensive line in the first round at pick 5. So now I'm looking second round, maybe third round. I'm gonna go with an Indiana guy, and there's a couple. There's Omar Cooper to keep an eye out for,
Mhm.
but watch Elijah Surratt. I really like this kid, Elijah Surratt, out of the national champions Indiana Hoosiers. Uh, he's a ball hog. He's not the fastest of guys, but I want to see what he does in the 40, and if it's in that four, the high 4.3s, low 4.4. I'm seriously thinking about taking him because he will catch anything that's thrown to him. And when you got a young quarterback, you want to have a guy that you can count on that's going to catch the ball. And Fernando Mendoza loved Elijah Surratt, so I'm going to keep an eye on him. And I got one or two more names, but I'll let you go first, Paul, in case you're going to
Okay.
read the names because we don't talk about this beforehand, so we don't know who each other has. So
All right. Two names that we've talked about, and one, what my guy Malachi Fields. I want to see what he runs on at the combine. Guy that they've mocked to the Giants a lot. A great receiver from Ohio State in that line of great receivers, Cornell Tate. But the guy that I want to see is, because his name has also been mocked to the Giants, uh, uh, Jordan Tyson, big guy from Arizona State, from Cam Scatterboo country, um, highly rated receiver, big, tall, rangy receiver. Problem is, he's been injured a lot, and I want to see what he can do at the combine. And if he's a guy that they think he's available and could be available at 5, listen, you know, seems like we took a really good receiver at 6 a couple of years ago. So I want to see what Jordan Tyson can do, and perhaps open my eyes to the idea that maybe they can take him.
yeah, let's send a quick hello to my family, Bedford Falls, Charleston, South Carolina. They're listening to us over there. They're watching us on Facebook. Thanks for hanging out, guys. You can put us on TV. You can go if you have a Roku or Fire, Amazon Fire at the restaurant. You can put us on TV. Search sports. Just letting you guys know. Check us out over
Mhm.
there. But Bedford Falls, if you are in the South Carolina area or New York City, their sister restaurant, Bedford Falls, New York City. Go check them out. You'll get a great meal. New York Giants sports bar themed on Sundays, and I believe they are New York Mets as well, Paul. So I know
What's
you're a
the
big
Met?
Met fan. Uh, Michael likes the name Makai Lemon. He's more of a slot type guy, speedster,
Right.
or 1,100 yards. That's a good name, Michael. That's definitely one to watch. Uh, One that I would keep an eye on, and he may fall out of the first round, so he may be there for the Giants. And a lot of people don't really like him. And when I say they don't like him, Paul, is they say he may be overrated for the first round, but I feel he's got talent. Casey Concepcion from Texas
Hmm.
A&M is a name to watch. Maybe a Wandale Robinson replacement type of player as well. And then a guy who may not be doing he's not going to be doing some of the drills. A guy who was injured, but I want to see what the injury is. Chris Bell from Louisville. Ole Miss
Mhm.
transfer. See what kind of drills he does, see how he interviews. But his NFL comparison was AJ Brown. I would take that in a heartbeat
Mm.
with Jackson Dart. The Ole Miss formula there. And I wonder if Chris Bell played with Jackson Dart, if he was on Ole Miss when Jackson Dart was there. So that's a name to keep an eye out for. I'll have to look into that, Paul, and see if Chris
Okay.
Bell did play with Jackson Dart at some time.
Okay. Let's move to another position that the Giants could very well be looking at, linebacker. And give me a name that you might be looking at.
I got one that I'm falling in love with, and Michael's a Bronco fan, and Kurt's a Bronco fan, and I mentioned this for the Broncos, but I like him for the Giants too. I've been watching some stuff about him. He was team captain for the University of Pitt. Kyle Lewis, the linebacker, could be like around the third round pick, uh, maybe a late fourth, maybe a third round pick in the fourth round. You move up. You see, I don't think we have a third round pick this year, so
Yeah, we
you
don't
have
have
to
a
move
third
up.
round pick. We traded
Right.
for Jackson Dart.
Maybe hard to get him unless he falls down. Maybe you move back into the third round if he's sitting there, and later on in the third round you can move up and get him. But linebacker, safety type, played 4 years at Pitt, so he's already older and mature. Uh, he had 7.5 sacks in 2024, over 100 tackles. Uh, Also had forced fumble, and he had 4 interceptions that year. And that's a linebacker. So linebacker slash safety type. Uh, we need that type of player that can be in coverage, linebacker in coverage, and a run stopper. And I just like the experience there and a team captain. That's somebody I'm going to watch at the combine, strictly the combine, to see how he does against the other top linebackers in the draft.
Okay. I have a bromance too with this guy, and I've talked about him continuously since the Heisman Awards, where we had our three picks, and he was on my list. Jacob Rodriguez, who, like you, team captain, one of the finalists, tops. I think he finished sixth in voting for the Heisman Trophy. Uh, just the guy all over the field. Don't look at his measurements, his size, his weight. The guy, what I call a football player. I compare him. He's like, and this is my own comparison. He's like a defending linebacking version of Cam Scatterboo. You don't look at Scatterboo's measurables. He's a football player. This guy, Jacob Rodriguez, is a football player. And I don't care if he runs a 4.7. I don't care. The guy is just he's the only way I can describe it. He's a football player. And that's what I want on this team. I want guys that know how to play football, can play football. Like you said, he's a captain. He was all over the field. I think he forced 7 fumbles this year. So the guy's a hard hitter, and that's what I want to look. So I'm interested to see how he does on at the combine. And again, maybe the Giants, with the measurables, they can get him in a later, the fourth, fifth round, something
Yep.
like that.
Couple more hellos, Paul. We got Patrick coming in. Aloha, my Eastern brothers. Barely 75 degrees here today in Hawaii.
Oh,
So chilly. But speaking of chilly,
Pat,
Patrick Lion Coffee always takes care of us here at the K&K Sports Show channel. Shows that we got here. He takes care of all of us with coffee and tea. Uh, some of the best stuff I share it with my coworkers at work. Late nights, overnights, we're drinking the coffee. Bedford Falls. Maybe you should reach out to Patrick over there, Lion Coffee, my cousin's restaurant. You should reach out. Best coffee on earth. I can guarantee it. Patrick's sending me some cold brew stuff. I got a surprise coming this week. Some cold
oh,
brew cans. I'm looking forward to that, Patrick. But thank you so much for always taking care of us. And lioncoffee.com, 10% off of your next order, if you go on there, use the code Patrick10, and Patrick will give you 10% off of your complete order on there. Thank you again, Patrick. Our
Nice.
good friend Roy Osborne. Hey there,
Hey,
Paul and
Roy.
Kenny. He wanted to jump on before his next show. Well, listen, some of these guys that we're talking about, Roy, I'll mention for the Broncos too, because there's a lot of similarities in positions that we need. So for sure. Uh, so I'll pass it back to you, Paul. We got the stuff there. So
All right. Um, Another position that we definitely need to look at is defensive back. And um, I named a couple of people, but I'm going to give you one quote unquote sleeper. Uh, Caleb Downs has been a big name that's been dropped as a possible number 5 pick. Uh, Mansour Delane, another guy, cornerback from LSU, who is really highly rated. But I'm going to give you a guy who is, you're going to watch him. And if this guy, when I tell you about him, doesn't fit, the Giants should be interested. But if this guy isn't a Seattle Seahawk prototype defensive back safety, tell me I'm wrong. Emmanuel McNeil Warren from Toledo, 6'3", 210 pounds. He is a dynamite. He is a dynamo. He is just a masher. I've seen a little bit of his tape. The guy is all over the field. He is maybe arguably right up there with Caleb Downs as the top safety in the combine. So it'll be very interesting to see what his measurables will be and what he produces this weekend, because this kid at his size is an unbelievable hitter, and I'm looking forward to seeing if and how he does.
yeah, that's a
Pretty
good
hot.
name. That's a good name, Paul. Because and don't let the Toledo school, scare you. Quinyon
No.
Mitchell came from Toledo, and he's a pretty darn
Hmm.
good corner in this league
Yep.
for the Eagles. Uh, I just want to get a couple comments in first. So Roy likes Rodriguez himself. Like I said, Broncos and Giants, there'll be some similarities on position needs, and he does like Jacob Rodriguez. Uh, Bedford Fall just chiming in saying, Kenny, with that scarf, I need a monocle and brandy. Good one. And, so good one there. So I got a couple names, but I'm going to go. You wanted safety or you want just secondary?
Secondary. I
Sec-
just lumped it
I
defensive
like a
back.
name. He's on the smaller side, so I don't know. But if he stands out to me at the combine, I'm going for it. And that's D'Angelo Pons, Indiana University. I saw him come up with huge plays in the national championship against my Miami Hurricanes. Uh, he's had 2 career pick 6s. He followed Kurt Signetti from James Madison to Indiana, so that tells you something. And he played for 4 years, so he's another experienced guy, a little older. Uh, Started his career at James Madison. He's projected in the second round. Maybe the Giants look for secondary help in the second round. That's a name I want to see if he stands out at the combine. And I want to see his vertical. I want to see his 40-yard dash. And player I'm going to be watching closely. And the segment isn't, you know, strictly, guys that we want on the Giants. It's guys we're curious about too. So I'm curious to see with his size, I want to see his vertical and I want to see his 40 because if he clears both of those really well and he's at the top of his cornerback class in this combine, I'm looking at him for the Giants. He's a winner, and I want winners on this team. I want guys who can national champion. I want winners. I want captains. That's what I want on this team.
Nice. I have one more position, if I can do that, running
Yeah.
back.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got another
Um,
position as well. So
okay. All the talk, of course. My guy Jeremiah Love, he's going to be one of the top 10 picks in the draft, if not earlier. Um, I'm going to look at a couple of guys at the combine. His Robin to Jeremiah Love's Batman, Jadarian Price. Great speed, great kick returner, amazing kick return. I think he had 3 kickoffs for touchdowns, so he could be excellent as a kick returner in the NFL. Plus, very, very good running back. I mean, he would have started and been a regular on any other team other than Notre Dame because of Jeremiah. But I'm looking at him. The other running back I'm looking at, guy who before the season started was considered a top All-American, Nicholas Singleton from Penn State. You didn't hear so much about Penn State and him because of the bad record and the bad season Penn State had. But he was coming into the season one of the top running backs in college football. You know, I think Singletary is going to be gone. I think Eric Gray is going to be gone. Giants will need another back. One of these guys, second round, third round, maybe, fourth round, might be there. They might be able to come up with someone as as that young kick returning kind of back. So we'll see. But those are a couple of names.
I like it, and I'd have nothing against Penn State running backs. When Franklin was there, he that's a position that he always scouted very well. You know, from Saquon Barkley and others that
Mhm.
are in the league. So Penn State running backs, like Ohio State wide receivers, they have a place in the NFL. So I
Absolutely.
like that. Jody's chiming in. What's up, Jody? Price is a stud. He's a big Notre Dame fan. Roy thinks Love will probably go at about 5. That's the Giants. So Paul would
If he
love
goes
that.
by, Roy, you will hear me in Texas, Roy, if the Giants draft Jeremiah Love from New Jersey.
That's great. That's great. I'll give you my position, and it's going to lead segue into our next segment. But defensive tackle, I got somebody for defensive tackle for not only the Giants but for the Broncos to keep an eye out for Bronco fans that are hanging out with us, and we appreciate it. D'Angelo Pons, Texas Tech, 6'4", 320 pounds listed. He's more like 6'4", 340. He's a monster in the middle, nose tackle, and played on that elite defense with David Bailey and Jacob Rodriguez. You mentioned him. Texas Tech had one of the best defenses in football. And this guy is a clear run stopper. 3-year player. He started his career at University of Central Florida in the Big 12 and moved over to the Big 12 Texas Tech and was a big part of their success this year. A name to watch because he's a clear run stopper. His projection is late first round, early second round. He falls into the early second round. Don't count that out for the Giants. Just throwing that out there. That'll segue into our next segment when we're done with this, and you'll see where we're
All
going with
right.
that one.
Any other positions or players you want to mention that we'll be looking out for
I
at this
think we
point?
nailed it. I think we nailed it.
Okay.
Got all the names I wanted to list here for you and the positions. I think we're good
Okay, good. Me too. All right. Well, speaking of uh, players moving around, our next segment is giant players that may realistically we might trade for or we might trade. So, Kenny, I'll
What do
put
you
you
want to
up
start
first.
with? Yeah, what do you want to start with? Trade
Let-
away, or you
let-
want to start with trade for?
Let's start with trade for. All right. So, give me one name that you think the Giants might trade for, and then I'll give you someone that I think they could also trade for.
We might have the same names here, but I'm going wide receiver. I think Jalen Waddle is in play. I do.
Okay.
Miami is on a rebuild, and Jalen Waddle you're probably going to cost you your second round pick or a player, and that player could be like Kayvon Thibodeau, could be you know a second round pick and a player like a Darius Slayton. I'm on board. I'll do that in a second. But I could see Jalen Waddle moving and them doing a complete rebuild and maybe drafting a wide receiver when they pick in the teens this year.
Mhm. Yeah, they've had a lot of discussion about, obviously, Hill is gone. They're going to release or trade Tua, so they could be in complete rebuild mode. And I know Jalen Waddle's name has been mentioned as a possible giant, uh, uh, possible giant trade. But I'm going to give you a name that um, he's coming from a winning team, but for whatever reason, it seems like his days on this team is numbered. But I think he would be a perfect complement as a number two receiver for the Giants with Malik as our number one. Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers. I don't know what's going on there, but there seems to be a lot of animosity between him and the 49ers. And if they can get him for maybe a fourth pick and you throw in maybe a Darius Slayton, who we'll talk about in a minute, but I would love to get a guy like Brandon Ayuk. I think he would fit in perfectly. He would be that complement receiver. He's experienced. He's had success in the NFL. And if they can get him on the cheap, hey, bring him in. He's a winning player. He's obviously played in the Super Bowl. So bring him in, and I would love to have the Giants have a player like him.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one. I didn't even think about that name, but yeah, I would take that. I got a big name I want to throw out there, and I'm on board with this, but not for pick number 5. I'm on board with this for my second round pick or a player, which we'll get to those players in a minute. But Brian Thomas Jr. from Jacksonville's been rumored to be a name, and I'm
Mhm.
hearing his name being mentioned for the Giants. And he had a down year last year, but he was in a new system with Liam Cohen. Uh, but his rookie year, he was in contention for Rookie of the Year, in his rookie season. And the bigger one for me, I compare him up with his college teammate Malik Neighbors on the other side. And now you got both LSU stud receivers out of that draft on the same
Mhm.
team. Sign me up for the next 5 to 7 years easily with those two catching balls from Jackson Dart. And that'd be my number one over Jalen Waddle. If
Yeah.
Brian Thomas is available and the asking price isn't a first round, I'm in.
Yeah, that's a great uh, pickup because that would make that would make neighbors happy. It would make Jackson Dart happy. It would make Giant fans happy. I mean, he's a stud. He's an absolute stud, and to bring him in and team up with Malik would make the Giant offense. It would be incredible,
Yep.
incredible. So
Well,
yeah, sign
let,
me up for that.
let me catch up on a couple comments. Jody has a question that I missed, but I want to get to it, before we lose it into the shuffle. But
Okay.
Jody's got our next guy, and uh, he's talking about Pittman. We'll talk about him in a second because that's my third guy. But Keith Brugman saying, "Great evening to you, Paul and Kenny." Keith Brugman,
Hey, Pete.
Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Denver Bronco Roundup with Jody and Trevor. You can check our show out later. Trevor and I are going to be doing the juice, so we'll be on there talking all football and look forward to seeing everybody. Uh, Eddie Murphy saying, "Good evening, gentlemen. Good to see you,
Hey,
Eddie.
Eddie.
Always great to see a fellow Giant
Hope you
fan hanging out
survived the
with us."
weather.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to know. We'll go back to it, Paul, because you did talk about this. He wants to know your thoughts on Malachi Fields. We'll let you go
Yeah.
back. It's
Is
Jody. He missed that.
is this Jody's question?
Yeah, he missed it because he
Yeah.
came in late.
Yeah. Listen, Jody, I think he's going to be even a better NFL player than in college. I think he's going to be able to utilize his speed, his route running, and clearly his ability to get those 50-50 balls. I mean, there's nothing wrong in my opinion. I'm really interested to see what he can do over the weekend in the combine. And to me, he's one of the top wide receivers. And if the Giants have an opportunity, or your Broncos have an opportunity for this guy, I mean, I don't think he lasts later than the middle of the second round, in my opinion. So I think he's going to make himself, and he has made himself a lot of money between the Senior Bowl, and I think he's going to be really good at the combine.
Two more quick comments. Eddie's definitely sore from shoveling in parts he's never been sore before. And my good, and my good
Eddie.
and my good friend from my school days, and a brother from another as well, Jay Cook, saying, "What's up, brother man?" And brother men, I should say.
Jay.
Look, man, Jay, Aaron Rodgers, are you bringing you hoping he's back, or do you want to move on? I'll let you answer that, and we'll continue our show here.
All
I do
right.
have one more guy. I don't know if you have any more, Paul.
I don't have any more.
One
Who else?
more was Michael Pittman, which Jody alluded to. I think that's a
Okay.
guy who's not going to cost as much as the other two guys. Michael Pittman was the brought in to be the number one wide receiver when they drafted him, and he had some success early, but he seemed to have fallen out since Shane Steichen's there. Seemed to be the odd man out in that offense. And it doesn't mean he's not involved in their offense, but he hasn't had the production that he had before Shane Steichen was there. And I think this could be a realistic piece. He's a downfield guy, can run the vertical routes. He can do whatever you need him to do. He's not a slot receiver, so he'll take the place of Darius Slayton, but I could see him being an upgrade from Darius Slayton. And if the price is right, come on down. I'll take it.
By the way, I just read that the Colts are negotiating with Daniel Jones to a long-term deal to bring him back. So, but good for him. I'm glad.
Yep.
I'm happy for Daniel.
And I got
Even with
Jason's
the-
answer. I got Jay's answer. He doesn't want Aaron Rodgers back. He's time to move on. Get some young new blood at quarterback.
Okay. We'll talk about NFL trades probably in another show or two. All right. Let's talk about, speaking of trades, I have some players on my list that the Giants could conceivably trade. So, you want me to go first?
Yeah, please do. Yep.
All right. We've talked about his name a few times now, Darius Slayton. It's funny, I looked up, he's led the Giants in receiving yardage like 4 of the last 5 years. He's been somewhat productive, but then there are times you want to scream when he drops that easy 3rd and 8 pass that would be a first down and a drive continuation play, and he drops that pass. I think even though we need receivers, I think if the right deal comes up, I would put him on the block and trade him.
Yeah. I had him as one of my names, but I'll give you one of my big names. Now, you know what? I'll start. I don't want to start off with the big names. I'll give you a name that was a big name when we drafted him and a guy that I liked, but now we're talking about maybe get a 6th or 7th round pick for him, but can get that money off the table there. Deontay Banks. If you can get anything for him, I could see the Giants doing it with John Harbaugh coming in, move on from him. Maybe he brings in his guy Marlon Humphrey, who's it's an upgrade from Banks, but Humphrey's had a couple down years as well. You're not going to get a 1st round pick or a 2nd round pick for Banks, or even a 3rd or 4th. So if you can get a later pick and then bring in somebody like a Marlon Humphrey to replace Banks, I'm for it. And I was a Deontay Banks guy. I was excited about him coming out of Maryland, but it just hasn't panned out for him in New York. And maybe he needs to move on to another team.
Okay. This name has been bandied about and thrown about. I might as well just bring him up. Kayvon Thibodeau. They picked up his 5th-year option, but with the new coach coming in, things might be different. Personally, I wouldn't trade him. You have Abdul Carter. You have Brian Burns. the Giants in their history always have had more than 2, 3 defensive linemen that can rush the passer. To me, you never have enough guys like that. So with the injuries that guys suffer throughout the year, I think you need at least 3, maybe even 4 edge rushers. I wouldn't trade him. I think with the new coaching staff, this guy's going to have a fire lit under him to prove, hey, he's coming up for a new contract. If he wants to have a new contract, I think there's no other better way than to prove that you belong here. I think he has indicated he wants to stay. So I wouldn't trade him, but his name has been on the trading block.
I wouldn't trade him either, except if that's the price for Brian Thomas. And we don't have to give up a draft pick coming up in the second round, and it's a player for
Mhm.
player. They get a defensive guy, we get an offensive guy. Not doing it for Jalen Waddle. I like Jalen Waddle, but I'm not doing Thibodeau for Jalen Waddle. But if I can get Brian Thomas, who's on his rookie contract like Malik Neighbors, and you can get
Mhm.
two number one wide receivers on this Giants team, I would give up Kayvon Thibodeau for that. And
Okay.
that's the only
That's
that's
fair
the
enough.
in all fairness, that's the only player that I'm trading for and give up
Okay.
Kayvon Thibodeau. I got one more guy. It's a big name. It's been rumored, and that's why I said watch it for watch Lee Tucker, Lee Hunter. Watch some nose tackles. Dexter Lawrence. His name has been floated around as possibly getting traded. Now I don't want him to get traded. I think if there's any giant, including Kayvon Thibodeau and including Abdul Carter, there's any giant that's going to have a bounce back year and get back to his 2 years ago, it's Dexter Lawrence. This guy is a captain, just had a down year on a team that was just, you could just see the coaching staff. They were not playing hard for them. You talk about the fire up your butt. Dexter Lawrence is going to have that fire up his butt. So I don't want to get rid of him. And I would not get even come close if somebody comes calling and says, I'll give you a second round. I want at least a top 20 pick for him. At least. And
Yeah.
even more than that. Even more than that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think with the new coaching staff, guys like Dexter Lawrence, who didn't play well last year, has something to prove. And if you're not going to play well for a coach in his first year, then you can wind up getting traded. But if the Giants traded him, he's coming off a bad year. They're not going to get the best bang for their buck with the guy coming off a bad year. So let him come back, prove that he's the leader and captain of the team, and maybe then if there's the need to separate him for whatever reason, then trade him and hope you get something a little more than what you would get this year. But in reality, I'm not trading this guy. I think he's the cornerstone of this defense.
You know what I was thinking, Paul? Upcoming show, we got to bring back this big blue house. And see, we had Dexter in the bedroom last time, because I just see Rocky Mountain Sports Network must be Keith saying not sexy Dexy. We had Dex in the bedroom with the dark lights going, and we had our blue house. So that's good. But we got a friend coming in on YouTube, Paul. I want to get this in. He wants to know, and thank you, William Hathaway 7882 coming in. Thanks
Hey,
for
Will.
hopping on. What is the outlook for the Giants draft board?
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Um, you know, it's interesting. Uh, they were interviewing Shane and Harbaugh today, and they had some comments at the combine, and they're leaving themselves open. On one hand, they said we'd be interested in trading down. On the other hand, they said, but we'd be happy if we stayed at 5. I think at 5, if you look at these mock drafts, they've had like 20 different players. I'm exaggerating, like 7, 8, 10 different players at that number 5 pick. I think they're gonna look at their list of the prospects. And I think they have probably 2 or 3 players that they're probably going to look at very highly. And I'll just throw out the offensive lineman that we mentioned earlier, Caleb Downs, maybe a receiver, and they'll see how it's rated on their list. And it's when it's their time at number 5. If those one of those players are there, they're going to wind up taking it. And this year, the difference is John Harbaugh, as the coach, is going to have a really, really big hand in deciding who that number 5 pick is. We don't have a 3 pick this year. We traded last year our 3 as part of the Jackson Dart deal to come back up into the first round. No problem with that. We do have 3 number 6 picks. So I think we have a total of 7 picks overall in the draft. And I think from what we've discussed, Kenny, defensive backfield, offensive lineman, linebacker, and receiver, and I think in our minds are the 4 key positions that the Giants are going to look at.
Yeah, that's well said, Paul. And I'll just add, William, and thanks again for the question, and welcome. Hope you like what we're putting on. Hope you like the show, and hope to see you here again. John Harbaugh said it best, and I it's like, wow. And he's like, I really believe when he was asked, and he was on the Mike Francesa show, and he's big. You don't have to be in New York to know Mike Francesa, Mike and the Mad Dog, the radio show. But he's got his own podcast now. He had John Harbaugh on there, and John Harbaugh mentioned on there, in all his years of coaching, this is the highest he's ever picked. The Giants are going to be at pick 5. This is the highest pick that he's ever going to have, that he's had so far since coaching. And he said at pick 5, you take the best player available at pick 5. And the expectations are one day you're going to wear a gold coat, you're going to gold jacket, and you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. When I listen to John Harbaugh, I believe that. And that makes me think, Mendoza's out of the question, but the Giants are going to get one of their top, they're going to get their number 4 guy on their board. Their number 4 guy on the board, like Paul said, could be Caleb Downs, could be the receivers. You may be looking at Arvell Reese. You don't know. The Giants may go best available here, and the offensive linemen are in play too. So draft board for the first round, I would say definitely best available. Further down, second round, and those other picks, positions of need, linebacker. Add in a wide receiver maybe if you don't pick them in the first round, and going from there, offensive line as well. So again, William, thank you for the question. Paul nailed it. I just wanted to add John Harbaugh with his interview with Mike Francesa on that show. Got some questions, Paul. Let's hit them, and then we'll. Do you have any other trade guys? I think we nailed the trade guys.
I think no, that's it.
Let's do this, Paul. We're about 50 minutes in. We got a late start. Let's skip that Wheel of Decades to next week.
Okay.
Because we got a bunch of questions, and we can hit the question board, and then that can wrap the show up. There's
absolutely
for not getting into politics, but there's a state of the union tonight that the president's speaking, so a lot of people are probably going to want to go check that out in 30 minutes. So we will answer these questions, and we'll go off a couple minutes early. Jody's coming in with one. Paul, do you think, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago and earlier at the show, again, Jody, I know you came in a few minutes late, but do you think Jeremiah Love is in play at number 5?
Roy was giving his opinion where Jeremiah Love would finish, get drafted, and he said number 5. And I guess he didn't realize the Giants drafted number 5. I said this, like I said, like Kenny just said, Jody, if the Giants draft Jeremiah Love, and I used the idea that, listen, the philosophy that Harbaugh has had the last few years has been that running, pounding game. You bring in Love with Cam Scatterboo and Kenny and I love Tyrone Tracy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the guy's had 2 straight years with the Giants, crazy, horrible teams, over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. So he's nothing to not not to utilize. But if you bring in Jeremiah Love, that sends a message to me that they want ball control. They want to be able to rely on their pounding running game. And you know what? Giants won a few years ago with the Ahmad Bradshaw, Brandon Jacobs, Earth, Wind, and Fire type of running attack. I'll be more than happy. You'll hear me from New Jersey, Jody, if the Giants somehow drafted Jeremiah Love.
And Paul, I'll just add this. I just mentioned with Williams' question, John Harbaugh came on and said best player available. Now, if Jeremiah Love's the number 2 guy on the board and he sits there at 5, if everybody's got Jeremiah Love as the second best player in the draft, they don't want to draft a running back that high. John Harbaugh, you think he's going to be in a gold jacket? You're persuading Joe Shane to take him. So, do I think it's going to happen? And then we'll get to a couple more questions in a second because I know you. I'll just add this: like, is it out of the question? No. Is it going to be my top choice there? If I had to predict, and you said, Kenny, I need a prediction now. Who's the guy? I'm not gonna pick Jeremiah Love, but I would not be 100% surprised if it happened by John.
And let me just say this, Kenny. I respect Daniel Jeremiah and a few others from NFL Network and NFL.com. And I read a lot of the reviews of how the top 50 candidates are being rated. And Jeremiah Love is either not first, but he's no later than 4th or 5th rated player in this draft. So everybody is literally rating this guy one of the top 5 players in the draft. And I'm sure once the Giants put their board together, that kid is going to be up there within the top 5, 6 players.
Got another new face. And then I have a question from Keith, a question from William, and a second question from Keith right now.
Excellent.
So a new face, and welcome. And we hope I get this name right. Those YouTube names, they crack me up. I do, because they come in. This is Alf Sucks at Mock Drafts. I love it. Love the
We'll
name.
try and help you, Al.
Love the name. That's a great. He's saying Love is probably best player available at 5, but he thinks Downs would be a better pick, though. Paul, I'll go on this one because you're the
Go ahead.
guy. I am not going to be upset at all if Caleb Downs is the pick. I've watched him and hearing, all this hype about him and watching him in college. Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going to see a lot of Ohio State Buckeyes taken in the first round. And this may be the first one taken. Could be Arvell Reese. Could be Caleb Downs at number 2. I don't know. You don't know what the Jets are going to do. You don't know what they're going to do before the Giants pick. Caleb Downs could very well easily be off the board. I don't know if that's the play, but we're going to get a question from William first because
if I can just interject for a second. Mel Kiper just came out and updated his picks, and he had Caleb Downs going to the Jets at number 2.
I said that to if you're the Jets, and this isn't a Jets show, but if you're the Jets, you're not going to get your quarterback this year. Next year's class is tremendous. You have multiple picks next year to move up if you need to. You have a wide receiver 1 in Garrett Wilson, and you franchising. So you got Garrett Wilson. Go get your running back. You have your bookend young tackles in Membu and Oli Fashano. Go get a quarterback next year. Draft Jeremiah Love too. Absolutely. One more comment from Alf, and then we'll get back to the questions. Alf says, I have Love rated just below where I had Ashton Janty last year. Love is
Mm,
currently at 92.8. Janty was 93.2. Very, very close and a lot of
yeah.
comparisons there. Let's get William's question in first, and then we'll double with Keith's two questions because this came in with the comments. So he wants to know what player do you think we pick in this draft? We'll go first round. We'll do first round. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go
I'll
first?
go first. I've said all along, William, that you have your franchise quarterback. You got to protect this kid. You don't want him getting hurt. And both Kenny and I agree that Francis Managua is probably, arguably, the best right tackle in the draft. Spencer Fano, close number two. But to me, you got to build that offensive line and keep this kid upright. So to me, I go O line if he's available. I'm not sure if I go Fano, depending on the who's available or where he is in terms of the availability or the board, the Giants board. But offensive lineman to me is the pick at that point.
It's mine as well, William. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, and I compare Francis Managua to Penei Sewell, who I think is the best tackle in football. And if I can get that kind of comparison, I'm doing it. But keep an eye on free agency. Free agency is going to be before the draft. If the Giants go and sign a right tackle, the offensive lineman will be out of play for obviously for me and Paul. Then I'm going. I want Caleb Downs. I want Caleb Downs on this team, and I'll go get a free agent wide receiver like a Mike Evans or somebody like that, and draft a receiver later on in the draft, which is going to segue into our next question, which is from Keith Brugman. Thanks, Keith, for the question. He wants to know how many wide receivers do we add with questions around neighbors, free agents, draft. He wants to know how many
Yeah.
we add on the roster right now. Would be right now is Slayton, neighbors coming back, uh, Gunnar Olszewski we signed. Uh, Anybody else
Yeah.
might forget?
I mean,
Maybe
I guess you
Bo
can't exclude.
Collins, Bo Collins.
Right.
But we do
Right.
need wide receivers.
Yeah. Um, I they're going to draft at least one wide receiver, and I think they sign a wide receiver. Personally, I'm bringing back Wandale Robinson. The guy had a great year. I think you combine him with Neighbors, and they bring in that second 1A type of outside receiver. I think that would be a phenomenal threesome. But I know the contract is going to be expensive, but for me, I think he's proven himself. I'd love to keep him here. Hopefully, the Giants will do the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna say three. I'll give you a number three. I would love Wandale Robinson back. Gonna be in a battle with the Titans. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Brian Dable's over there, and Wandale had his career year last year, so the Titans are probably gonna be in the mix for Wandale Robinson. But that's the one guy I want to bring back. Then here comes the draft, and you can get one in the early rounds, second, and then maybe one in the later rounds, or a second free agent. A guy that can come in and plug. So I'm going to go three. You need three guys on. You need three wide receivers. Our wide receiver depth, is not there right now. It's Neighbors and Slayton. That's it. So definitely need to pick up on that. And got one more from Keith, and then we'll do some final thoughts. Unless 2-minute warning, guys. Want to get a question in? We'll give you a 2-minute warning, and we'll get some final thoughts if the questions are caught up. Paul. He wants to know how far. Oh, Keith had. We'll do this one. Keith actually has one more. How far would the Giants need to trade down from the 5 spot to be upset? How far? How far? I think he's asking if how far would we be upset if the Giants
That
trade?
oh, okay. Um, I don't want to go further than 10. I think that top 10 uh, pick, you can get a really, I mean, look, probably there's 20, 25 good players in this draft, but I don't want to go down more than to the 10th pick. Um, Anything lower than that, there's got to be a good haul that you're going to get back for that number 5 pick.
I'm
How do
with
you
you.
feel, Kenny?
I'm with you. Around 10 to if I can, you know, drop down a couple spots, I'll drop down a couple spots. But, and that's if Caleb Downs is off the board, Managua, the guys I like, are off the board. And,
Right.
you got Carnell Tate, Makai Lemon, and the other receivers all, close to each other. You move down a couple spots and you get an extra pick out of it. And,
Mhm.
but that's only if my two guys, me personally, if it was my draft board, if Downs and Managua are off the board, I'll look to trade back a few spots. Those
Yeah.
are my two
I,
guys at 5 that I want.
Right. I mean, maybe then it justifies if you're looking for a big safety, that kid that we were talking about with Neil Warren, justify at 10 or 12 or 15 if they do drop a little lower as opposed to 5 where Downs is considered, like you say, a gold jacket guy.
Let's hit this one from Keith, and then I'll read some comments, and we'll do a rapid fire on the last questions that we got coming in. So this one will hit. Keith wants to know who's our biggest competition in the NFC East, and what position gives us the best chance of taking the division? You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
I think he's asking, so what position gives us the best chance of taking the division? So it could be free agency or draft, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say wide receiver. We got Malik Neighbors coming off of an injury. He's our number one guy, but he's coming off that ACL. We need to upgrade. You got Darius Slayton. You don't know what's going on with Wandale Robinson. If you could bring back Wandale Robinson and draft a guy in the draft, I think we could be the Patriots of next year. I think our defensive front is good, and we've got to improve in the secondary a little bit. But I'll go on the offensive side. I'll say wide receiver, Paul. I'll go with a playmaking position.
Read the question again, because I misunderstood it. If you can read it again.
Yeah, I think he's asking who is our biggest competition in the NFC East, and what position gives us the best chance of taking the division.
Oh, okay. I
Which
mean,
position do we need to upgrade, basically?
okay. I mean, the Eagles, obviously, because they won the division the last couple of years, and they're essentially our biggest rivalry. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I think quarterback and Jackson Dart's going to improve and take that next leap into that second year. He was good, and I think he's going to be very good next year. And because of him, that's why we're going to compete for the division. I think the coaches that we've brought in, Nagy and Brian Callahan and Harbaugh, of course, I think what they're going to do with Jackson Dart is elevate his game, and Jackson Dart's elevation is going to then lead the Giants to like what Drake May did with the Patriots.
Couple more comments and one more question, and we'll do that. Last one from Keith, rapid fire. But Alf sucks at mock drafts. I think Managua goes 3 to Arizona, and he's a Seahawk fan. So good to see you coming in as a Seahawk fan here. He's saying, as a Seahawk fan, congratulations on your Super Bowl victory. Well-deserved win. They were the best team in the NFC defense. And he's saying, I'd like to say thank you for Leonard Williams. He's an unbelievable player.
Yeah. And we'll also throw in Julian Love for you, who I love, no pun intended, from my Fighting Irish.
Yep. All right, we got 2 rapid fire ones. First one, Paul, I'll answer, and if you want to change the answer, you can. What would you give up for Cortland Sutton? 4th round draft pick. He's getting up there in age. We don't have a 3rd round. Maybe I give you Darius Slayton in return, but that's about it. He is your number 1 wide receiver down there. He makes plays, but I can't give up more than that.
I'll be honest, Keith. You know what? In the times I've watched the Broncos, and I've watched a lot of their games, he's a big version to me of Darius Slayton. He'll make a play, and then he'll drop a pass and you put your hands to your heads like, how the hell did he drop that pass? So I have enough of Darius Slayton.
The drop connection of Slayton and Sutton.
Mm,
All right, so I got Keith was saying, Paul, double down on Dart. Love it. And let's do this as our last question of the night, Paul, and we'll get some closing thoughts in.
okay.
Alf wants to know. Oh, it's Alf sucks at mock drafts, by the way. Again, I love saying that name on here, dude. It's the greatest YouTube name I've seen so far. Do you two trust Matt Nagy? I'll let you go first on this one.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I'll start from where he comes from. He comes from the Andy Reid tree. All right. Alf sucks at mock drafts. Let me tell you something. I'm a Giant fan for close to 60 years. I know I don't look that old, but I am. Um, Andy Reid, when he was with the Eagles, I love the guy. He was a fantastic coach. He's only gotten better now that obviously he's won a number of Super Bowls at Kansas City. Any coach coming through Andy Reid, I have a lot of respect for. I think that was a fantastic hire by John Harbaugh. I have all the confidence in the world that Nagy is going to do a fantastic job with the Giants and with Jackson Dart, and I'm ecstatic that they were able to get him.
Great question, Alf. And I'm with Paul. I love it. I can't add much more, but I'll say this. Matt Nagy, Brian Callahan comes over for the quarterback coach. These two guys, former head coaches. Brian Callahan, most recently Titans. It didn't work out there, but he was Joe Burrow's quarterback, offensive coordinator over there in Cincinnati. Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator with Kansas City. These young players, not just Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo, Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson. They're all gonna gain so much knowledge and experience from these guys coaching them as opposed to what we had last year. And it's just going to be so much, fun watching these players grow with these coaches on the offensive side and the defensive side as well. But these guys leading them, it's just going to be tremendous. And I can't wait to see it. Paul, I know you can't wait to see it. Let's get some final thoughts in, Paul. We came on late. I know that President's coming on, so I know a lot of people are going to want to go watch that, the State of the Unions tonight. So we'll get some final thoughts in, and we'll wrap up the show.
All right. Fantastic show, Kenny. Thank you as always. You do an amazing job. Guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. We do this for you. Appreciate all the questions, the comments, the new viewers. Keep it coming. We do this every week, Tuesday nights. We may go back to Mondays, but we'll talk about that. But again, fantastic show. All your comments, your questions, it makes us that much a better show. So we appreciate everything that you guys do for us.
Yes, I want to just give a couple quick shout outs to the audience, some new faces that came in tonight. Alf and William Hathaway, both new faces tonight. Good to see you both. Our old faces and close friends, Keith Brugman over at Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Patrick Wiltsey, lioncoffee.com. Use the code Patrick10. Get yourself some discounts over there on amazing Hawaiian coffee. Jody and Michael Ronquillo and Jay Cook. I want to give a shout out to everybody watching over there, Bedford Falls, Charleston, South Carolina. I know we're on the East Coast here, northern, but if you're down in South Carolina, go check out my cousin's restaurant. Brendan and Brian doing amazing things down there, Bedford Falls, Charleston, South Carolina. There is another Bedford Falls in New York City, closer to home. Go check it out. Affiliated with them over there. So good stuff. And if I missed anybody, there's Jay and Sharon came on early. Eddie Murphy, don't want to forget Eddie. And Eddie and Roy Osborne also came in and said hello. And of course, last but not least, Kurt Valenti, who's the voice of Broncos Daily now and on YouTube, doing good stuff over there. Kurt, for those Bronco fans that are in the audience, go check out Kurt Valenti on Broncos Daily. But until next week, Paul, amazing show. Last but not least, I almost forgot, Surge Sports, Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Last but not least, Surge Sports, Amazon Fire, and Roku TV. You can catch us there live, and throughout the week, you can catch our show throughout the week on that channel. Thank you, Bobby, for bringing us aboard.
Thanks,
Until
Bobby.
next week, everybody, have a good week, and see everybody next Tuesday.